Hi everyone, nice to see you online. I'm Han Chan Hang, a PhD student in Seoul National University. Just a moment to share my presentation file. I open the file. Here it is. And just a moment, please. I would introduce this paper I work with Seokjin and Junhyung Kim. Seokjin is the professor in Seoul National University and the main author of this paper. And Junhyung Kim is an associate research fellow in Korea Institute of Public Administration. I tell you that Seokjin the main author, feels sorry that he is not here, and so you can feel free to contact him after you have questions or comments of this paper. And let's start it. The title is E-petition and Citizen Engagement in Turbulence. From this paper, we would like to describe the new phenomenon about citizen engagement from e-petition. E-petition is the new tool for e-democracy, which is concerned with the advent of the intelligent information era, such as new information tool and communication technology, as you know. Since citizens actively have engaged in public matters, it is important to institutionalize citizens' efforts and desires. It is because if some conditions are met, the citizens' efforts and desires are afforded to make the government more responsive and to complement the representative democracy. So e-petition is an attempt to institutionalize e-democracy and has good potential to do it. It is easy for someone to file an online petition and also easy for another person to recommend it for everyone. We the people, petitions, UK government and parliament are good examples of e-petition around the world. Definition of petition in the Petition Act in Korea is behaviors through which one requests correction of complaints, relief of damage, and amendment of legislations with regard to the issues under the jurisdiction of state agencies authority. But it is quite difficult to meet requirements of petition. However, online petition platform for electronic participations provide for citizens a good opportunity to express their opinions and complaints to the legislative branch in the UK or to the executive branch in South Korea and USA without any power relations. The petition could decrease transaction costs of political actions and enable citizens to rally and express their opinions efficiently. Furthermore, it helps governments to improve policy formulation and build positive relations with citizens. On the other hand, e-petition has some constraints, one of which is that some public issues discussed in e-petition are outside the competence of government. For example, reducing the number of congressmen is one of popular petitions in South Korea regularly, but it couldn't be solved by the government alone. Before introducing our research design and findings, I share this slide so that you understand the national e-petition in Korea. It is about legislation and operation procedure of the petition in Korea. First stage is begging of petition, in which citizens log in the website and fill out the petition. When they fill out the petition, they choose one of 17 categories on their one. Second stage is legislation and recommendation. And in this stage, citizens register the petitions, and these are disclosed in a list of petitions. Other citizens approach the petitions and recommend the petitions registered previously if they want. Then if petitions reach 20 million recommendations with 30 days, third stage begin, and those petitions are posted separately and go to the waiting list for government's response. And final stage is government's response, uploading the response using video. We think that even though e-petition is emerging as a useful tool for e-democracy, as far as we know, it is not investigated seriously. Thus, we are trying to examine overall characteristics of petitions and recommendation trends of petitions with two strategies, which would be a stepping stone to a more advanced discussion. First one is descriptive statistical analysis. We crawled web logs of petitions in the website for the first data set, and also crawled on an increase of recommendations in real time for the second data set using Python. Our second strategy is semantic network analysis using Netminer network software program. I would show our findings. This graph represents the trend of the number of petitions. And you can see that number of petitions fluctuated at the beginning part, thereby converging on around 25,500. Because our petitioners choose one of 17 categories on their one, petition types could be imported to analyze. Among 17 categories, political reform, one of the 17 categories, political reform is generally the highest. Exceptionally, human rights and gender equality was the highest on September 2017. And also transportation, architecture, and land was the highest on September 2018. Next, we are trying to investigate the characteristics of petitions in terms of the number of recommendations. On the left graph, you can see long tail. You can see long tail, which means that most petitions get less than 10 recommendations, while very few petitions succeed. It could be verified by the right graph on this slide, given that the threshold for an official government response is 200,000 recommendations. Around 0% of petitions stepped across the threshold. Since very few successful petitions pull the average to higher points than the median, the mean on each month is much higher than the median. In sum, the distribution of the number of recommendations follow power function distribution, far from normal distribution. Using the second data set, we show the trends of an increase in the number of recommendations over time on an hourly basis. The blue lines indicate successful petitions passed over time. From this graph, we find that the early stage of petitions is critical for a success. Most successful petitions experience an upsurge in the early stage, but few exceptional cases could be found in the graph. Those cases showed an upsurge in the specific point of time or incremental increases over time. We think that those cases will be good sources as a case study in the future. Next, we show findings of semantic network analysis. We build and use dictionaries to make results more valid and robust. You can see the number of petitions on each quarter in over 50,000, and this number is surprisingly high compared with the people and petitions in the UK. In order to manage the big size of words, we constrain the words to over 50 frequency. So we get networks that consist of around 300 nodes or words. Then we try to catch the keyword pattern difference among 5 different quarters. We show the table that consists of top 7 keywords sorted by frequency. We could say that first and second keywords related to the former President Lee Myung-bak's corruption. Citizens required the government to prohibit the former President Lee's escape from the country. The biggest cluster on the network graph reflects political reform issues with regard to political corruption. And fifth and sixth keywords are concerned with the opposition of the heavy criminal Jo Do-sun's release. He offended child sexual abuse and was about to release. In this period, the regulations of cryptocurrency market and issues about Pyeongchang Olympics were regarded as serious social issues. Those issues are shown on the clusters on the network graph. On the other hand, we can find punishment to crimes on the graph, and this issue continuously appears on all network graphs. That is the characteristic of all of networks in our research. In this period, citizens have interested in investigation for political reform and human rights and gender equality. You can see the three big clusters about those issues. In particular, human rights and gender equality issues are most discussed in the context of sex crimes and social security. People want to be more secured. In third quarter of 2018, real estate issues and punishment to crimes were discussed frequently on the platform. You can see the two big clusters on the network related to both issues I mentioned. Interestingly, real estate issues are mingled with refugee issues. We think that the common ground of both issues are the request for the active role of the state, but it needs more additional investigation. In the first quarter of 2018, punishment to crimes and the active role of government and state as a problem solver were the main issues. So what kind of patterns do we find? First of all, the trend of citizens' recommendations is characterized by power function distribution far from the normal distribution. And the success is almost determined within the first 24 hours. So the first stage is very important. And some corrective action towards particular petitions decrease very quickly. It is all the patterns we find. And some words are used continuously during all periods. For example, state, punishment, opposition, abolishment are the typical cases. Some other words are emergent in accordance with the public attention, such as Jo Do-sun, cryptocurrency, Pyeongchang Olympics. And also citizens have interested in some issues like punishment to crime, as well as political reforms. Then what implications for democracy? Citizens in Korea require the government to play the active role as a problem solver. As you have seen, citizens think that a variety of social issues should be dealt by the government. Interestingly, and those issues contain crimes, economic issues, political reforms, real estate, refugee issues, and so on. We think that the petition system effectively absorbs in citizens' efforts and desires. That is why we focus on the petition in Korea. However, which government tactics with the system are responsive and responsible should be investigated more. And we hope this paper would be the stepping stone for fruitful discussion in the future. Thank you for listening my presentation. And Seokjin is waiting for your questions and comments. Thank you.